And welcome to the must-see podcast of wrestling in the WWPWW in Central Illinois. This is Jeremy.
This is Caleb.
And we are ready to talk. We are going to go a long time today.
Yep.
We got some news. We got some Payback to talk about. We got some RAW to talk about. We got SmackDown to talk about. And on top of all that, before all this stuff, we thought about casting the Vince McMahon biopic, so we will be talking about that. So we may go an hour. We may go an hour and a half. We may even go 5 hours. We don't know what's going to happen today. So today we will be talking about those things. Caleb, do you have anything to start off?
No, I don't think so. You think you had a couple pieces of news you'd like to share? So
yeah, a couple pieces of news.
Take it away.
All right. News. So one of the news topics we have today is Billy Corgan is set to buy the rights to NWA. Caleb, what do you think about that?
Dude must really love wrestling. If he owned TNA for a hot minute, and then now he is buying the NWA is a sanctioning body. It's not a promotion, because they don't actually have an NWA show or anything like that. It's just the belts, and it's just a promotion and stuff like that. Guys have the belts, but they work in other promotions and stuff. So, very interesting. Wonder if they'll try to establish an NWA home, set it up like Ring of Honor, TNA, WWE, or if they'll try to settle in somewhere with, because Jeff Jarrett started Global Force Wrestling 2 years ago, but when he reacquired TNA from Dixie Carter, the companies merged. I think last week or 2 weeks ago, Global Force merged with Impact, now what was TNA. So yeah, I don't know if he'll try to find a home on some promotion for it, or what the deal is, but we'll definitely have to keep an eye on what follows.
Yeah, I think for the last couple of months after the whole debacle from the TNA stuff, Billy went around the nation in an RV, videotaping a bunch of small towns, and so I don't know what happened between the end of the drama with TNA and now, but he's all of a sudden thinking, I want to own NWA. If he's got the money, let him own NWA. He does love wrestling. Apparently, he has been a promoter in Chicago, which I didn't know until I read that. And so, Billy Corgan has experience in the wrestling field, and so why not? Why not? I mean, he wants to buy a wrestling something. It's an entity, and so we'll see what happens. I don't know what he's going to do with it. We don't know what he's going to do with it. So we look forward to finding out.
Indeed.
All right. That's not really news. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Over the weekend, X-Pac, Sean Waltman, was arrested for suspicions of drugs. I think he was arrested on the border between Mexico and the United States. I think that's where he was arrested. I could be wrong about that. However, he has come out on his social media denying that. He actually had an interview, which I haven't listened to yet, denying that he had any drugs. He says he's clean. He says he's not used. He has said that the stuff he brought back were yeast cleanse. I don't know, and so it is his word against the police officer's word. So yeah, he was arrested this weekend with suspicion of drug paraphernalia and contraband and whatnot. And so we will see where that unfolds. I hope he hasn't done that, because he's been clean for like 4 years, I think.
He's had a rough go, so.
He has had a rough go. I know that the friends around him, Kevin Nash has come out saying, in support. He believes that Sean has not partaken in anything. The way he's responding, he does seem clear-headed. So I'm going to let, and he's come out. He's like, yeah, we got some testing going on. We'll wait for the test on the drugs he said yeast cleanse and stuff to come back. He's got his own blood tests and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. I hope he doesn't go to jail, because, like you said, he's had a rough go, and he deserves a fair shake. And hopefully, if he's clean long enough, WWE might be calling him back. It'd be nice to call him back for some appearances. Kurt Angle's been clean for I think 6 years, and so they finally called him back.
I think he was painkillers. He was addicted to. I think it was.
Yeah, and he was. I mean, he's admitted that he was going down a hard path, and you know, it's nice to see these guys come out and say, you know what, I was wrong, I was screwed up. I'm doing my best to behave. I'm doing my best to stay clean, and I hope for his sake it is, because he was he wasn't like one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, but I enjoyed watching him. Even when he was 1-2-3 Kid, he was kind of like the cruiserweight before the cruiserweights at times. And so there's that. Okay, next piece of news. There is news on Lesnar's possible defenses of titles. He probably won't be back until the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view.
Yeah, still shaking our heads about that.
Yeah. And so the possible title defenses he might have is versus Strowman, versus Finn Balor, versus Seth Rollins, and versus Roman Reigns, which they have all come out and said, you know, we want a title shot. Rollins in particular this past week, and Balor kind of said the same thing, and Strowman a couple weeks before, leading to the Roman Reigns feud or match at WrestleMania. And so, what do you think about that? What do you think about Strowman, Balor, Rollins, and Reigns?
I think it all sounds good. I'm really intrigued by all of it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how many dates for Raw Lesnar has,
mm-hmm.
and how many times he wrestles outside of those 4 matches. But other than that, that's all we have. I mean, that's the thought going into that.
Yeah, I mean, Dean kind of roasted him a little about it on
that was actually beautiful.
On Raw, which was awesome.
The last bit of news we have, it's not really news, it's just silly. T.J. Perkins is now going to go by just TJP.
Really?
That's his name from going forward. His name is TJP, not T.J. Perkins.
Okay.
So there's a lame bit of
that's
news,
funny.
but that's where it is.
I thought it was funny when he turned heel and everybody was chanting, "You still suck." That was... on one hand, it's kind of like, oh, come on, guys. But on the other hand, it's like, that is kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't think his match on Monday night wasn't too bad. But we can get into that.
Yeah,
here soon.
I enjoyed it, and I actually think being a heel suits him a little better, honestly.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, we will jump right into Payback. So now, to quote Norm Macdonald from the episode of My Name Is Earl, where he played Burt Reynolds' son, which was amazing.
Yep.
Payback, you might know that as just a great Mel Gibson movie, but it's also a synonym for revenge. Or in this case, a WWE Raw exclusive pay-per-view, which I thought was pretty darn good. I really, really enjoyed it. So, we will jump right into that. I watched the pre-show. I watched it live, and I was thinking, like, I'll go back a little bit and watch the pre-show. The pre-show match was okay, but the pre-show segment with of Miz TV with Finn Balor was pretty cool. That's how they came up with the Finn Balor just kicked my arse club. And so that's where that came from and stuff. But so we will jump right into what I think should have been the co-main event, but was the opening match on the main card.
Yep.
Very interesting. Jeremy, we're going to switch off, for those of you who don't know. He's going to do one, I'm going to... Anyways, doesn't matter. Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens, the United States Champion. What did you think of this match? What did you think of everything that happened?
I think everybody who is a fan who has attended both Payback and SmackDown, they all know that this is Jericho's last show for a while, and the pop that he got at Payback was ginormous, only shadowed by the SmackDown pop that he got. I mean, Y2J is so over right now. It's sad that he's going to go away for a little bit, but I think in the long run that will help him. I do think they gave him the U.S. title as a thank you for all that he's done, and you know if he comes back, which I think you've already said that he said he is going to come back. Because I don't think his tour is very long.
No, I think it's just I think it's just May and June. I don't think it's that long at all.
You know, a couple months off, he comes back. He's more rejuvenated. You know, he's still over. He'll be on SmackDown, which will be fun. It'll be fun to see what happens when he comes back. If he'll have a feud again, like when you have Ty Dillinger and stuff like that, who have come up. I would love to see Chris Jericho, Ty Dillinger. I would love to see Chris Jericho and a couple other guys. But as far as the match goes, it's surprising. I love the psychology of this match. I think it was probably. I hate to say it was my favorite match because there were so many really good matches. But as far as psychology, this was the best. This is the best match for them. The ending was my favorite. The fact that at WrestleMania, Kevin Owens gets out of the walls of Jericho with just a finger, and the fact that Chris Jericho hates that finger. That finger is on the list, and they made comment of that. And so he takes it and he puts it behind the steps, and he just injures the snot out of it. And so that was beautiful. But the even cooler thing is going back into the ring, he puts him in the walls of Jericho again, and Kevin Owens tries to put his finger out, and he can't. I don't know if it's just Kevin Owens. Like I think about this match, and I think about the Kevin Owens-Sami Zayn match. It seems like if you have a match with Kevin Owens, you're going to have a really good psychological, like the ring psychology, the storytelling in this match, in his matches, are going to be top notch. And then you throw Jericho, who is a veteran, who understands the ring, who understands all this stuff. You throw him in, and it's like great. And so as far as everything goes, the storytelling was beautiful. I loved every bit of it. It was better than the WrestleMania match, in my opinion, because of all that stuff.
Yes.
But the WrestleMania match set up this match, and this match set up both matches set up their SmackDown match. I didn't think SmackDown was better, but with both those matches in mind and watching that match on SmackDown, it makes the whole experience better. It was a nice trilogy of matches, if you will. What did you think of the match?
I thought it was really, really good. I know I say this phrase a lot, but like I felt like they played the trump card too early because I felt like this should have been the co-main event, and I actually would have been fine with this being the main event. Just because this is such a great feud, and it has been. These guys have put on some great matches. The mini match was good, but it had that abrupt ending, which we talked about. But this one was way better. You're absolutely right about that. It was the longest match of the night. Really, really enjoyed it a lot. Chris Jericho, winning was a big surprise, but I didn't hate it because I was like, they want him on SmackDown. That's how you do it. They'll probably have a rematch where he'll drop it to Owens, But yeah, that pop he got was ginormous when he won, and like high-fiving the fans, and the fans of Jericho, cheer me on, man, and stuff, and then he takes the little kid's list and writes KO on the list and hands the list back to the kid. Like, that was awesome, all that stuff.
I think KO was written on the list prior.
Oh, you think?
He just signed it.
Oh, okay.
And so when he realized what was on it, he turned it around. Like, that was my favorite moment of the whole...
I thought he wrote KO on it.
No, I'm pretty sure he didn't. That was my favorite part of that whole thing. Is it Chris Jericho, the babyface, comes out, and like you said, he just is high-fiving the fans. He's involved, and he sees this kid, and he's got the list of Jericho, and he signs it, and he notices there's KO, and he turns around to and it's like that's an exclamation point to this whole feud. And yes, we're gonna get to that match on SmackDown Live, which is the most appropriate way of sending Jericho out. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it was just really, really good. I was just glued to the screen the whole time because I was like, it's like so good. Like
it was really good.
It just really, really was. You got Chris Jericho, who's a bit more of an old school guy. He's a veteran. Does a lot of holes. Because as we know, he's the man of 1,004 holes, or whatever it was.
1001.
So he does all the holes. He does all the submission stuff. He does all the chops and the kicks and stuff like that. And then KO is more of a brawler and stuff like that. But he's also the master of the chin lock. So, but yeah. Their styles are different, but they match up really well together and stuff like that. And I was upset Dean Ambrose didn't defend the Intercontinental title on here. but oh well, like.
Yeah, and I think they painted themselves in the corner with WrestleMania, and then the brand, or not really brands,
the shake-up,
the shake-up, and so they kind of had to have a pay-per-view to kind of to finalize the shake-up, and so yes, the Intercontinental title would have been nice to be defended on here, but
yeah. Or at least have Dean Ambrose as like the host for the night, or like the special guest ring announcer for a match or something.
Because he was bloody brilliant on.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about Raw, man.
I know there were people who hated him on.
Well, they need to shut
Raw.
up. Is what they need.
Simon Miller. I'm talking about you. You're an idiot.
Why did he? Oh,
I don't know.
I don't get why he didn't. Anyways, it doesn't.
Sorry, Simon. You're not an idiot. I love you.
Yeah, yes, Simon. You're one of the good ones, but you're wrong about that. So yeah, great way to start the show. Big pop when Jericho won. It just, this feud has just been, although the Bray Wyatt Randy Orton feud was great, it really kind of has fizzled out, and now seems it has this stamp of finality on it. It seems, so because that was a great feud, but then it just kind of, in like the week leading up to WrestleMania, it kind of was like, all right, this kind of needs to end, and then. Because I guess Vince just over the past like year and a half, 2 years has just been really high on Randy Orton. He wanted to give Randy the title and let Randy have So this was the way that they wanted to do it, and all that. But yeah, so this feud has usurped that feud as the best feud, and and Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, everything was bloody brilliant between these two guys, and it seems as though it is on the back burner and gone for now. So, which is good.
Which is good. I mean, SmackDown did it justice. It really did. Anyway. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Anything else about that match you want to talk about?
No, I think we can call that one good.
All right. Moving on to the Cruiserweight title match, Austin Aries versus Neville. Caleb, what were your thoughts about this match?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a great deal. Both these guys are brilliant. These guys are, like I keep saying, they're a shot in the arm for the Cruiserweight division. Like Neville coming back and turning heel was just absolutely brilliant. And then what they did with Austin Aries commentating and then making the move to the in-ring was brilliant. And their match at Mania was awesome. You and me both really enjoyed that one. And this one was good too. I really enjoyed it. But having having Neville lose via DQ, I didn't hate it. Like, it makes sense. He's a heel, and he wants the title forever, and he's actually, intimidated a little by Austin Aries because Austin Aries doesn't, take any of his crap, and just the storytelling with it and the quote-unquote wrestling logic makes sense to me, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm like, okay, good. We don't have for sure, this feud can continue, which is good, because honestly, if this feud never ends, I'd kind of be okay with that, I think. Just because both these guys are so good, and I think Neville deserves a really long, like, what did I say last week or 2 weeks ago, like 500 day. I want a 500-day reign, and then have Austin Aries be the next Cruiserweight champion after him, and have him have a good reign. But so yeah, I really enjoyed the match. There was a lot of good stuff. Neville took some crazy falls and bumps and stuff where I was like, but okay, he's fine. But yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot. You?
Yeah, this might be my favorite match of the night. I'll have to rethink it. I really did enjoy this match. Austin Aries, the thing about him, which is interesting, because a lot of times because he was in NXT, and I tend to forget about that because he was in it, and then he got hurt. Like Shinsuke nailed him with the Kinshasa in the face, and so he had the whole issue with his eye, and then once his eye was getting better, he was called up to 205 Live to be commentary, and then he became a wrestler. I think he's great. Like, I love Austin Aries right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right about Neville. Like, when he came back as a heel, that was the best thing, not only for the Cruiserweights, but the best thing for Neville. I think I loved Neville before, but there seemed to be something missing. The fact that it didn't seem like the company really cared about him, but now they have to care about him because he is the face of the Cruiserweights. He is the king of the Cruiserweights, which is great. But this match was wonderful. There were so many great spots. I like the shin breaker into the suplex, the reverse suplex that Austin does. That sunset flip powerbomb into the last chancery, that was the power on that was amazing. And you're absolutely right. The DQ, I know a lot of people hated that. I did not. It makes sense. I liked, because it's a different kind of DQ. He's in a submission. He grabs him and throws the guy over. Like, it shows that he's strong. It shows that he's a heel. It shows that he's going to do whatever it is to keep the cruiserweights.
And it shows he's wily. He's clever.
Exactly. And so now that Neville's got TJP to be kind of the lackey, the guy that goes out and does his bidding and to break Austin Aries, which happens, we'll talk about on Raw. Not happens, but he does it on Raw. It will extend this feud having TJP in, because we'll get Austin TJP every once in a while, and then eventually I think Austin will take it from Neville. I don't think he'll have it for 500 days.
I don't think so either.
Austin will win it this year. I don't know when this year. So we have Backlash. I'm assuming, well, not Backlash. What's the Raw pay-per-view after?
After Backlash?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know.
I don't remember. I'll have to look. But anyway, as far as the match goes, I loved it. It was very, very entertaining.
Yep. All right, now we go to the WWE Raw Tag Team Championship Tag Team match. Obviously, it's a tag team match. It's for the tag team titles. Anyways, the Hardy Boys, Team Extreme, the semi-broken Hardys, if you will, versus Cesaro and Sheamus. Versus Cesaro, Sheamus, Cesaro and Sheamus, or I think they should just call themselves the European Union. I think that's kind of yeah, now that I say that out loud, that's kind of silly, but because it reminds me of the United Nations, or what were they called? The
League of Nations.
The League of Nations. It kind of reminds me of that, and just how terrible that was.
Yeah, that was really bad. Really, really bad.
Anyways, yeah. Hardy Boys versus Sheamus and Cesaro. What did you think?
Couple things. One, all of a sudden Sheamus and Cesaro are in the NWO. They're doing the pointy thing, which I don't hate, but I was just really surprised that they came out and started doing the pointing to each other. That was interesting. And two, the Hardys got messed up.
Yep.
Like, this was a physical match. And so, as far as everything that happened outside of those two things, I thought it was an okay match. I do like this feud.
Yes.
Finally, we get a tag team feud that is worth watching.
Yeah.
And I love that when Cesaro and Sheamus came out on Raw, and they were basically saying that these guys are a nostalgia act. They were right. I mean, they are a nostalgia act. However, they both can still wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Matt maybe a little less so than Jeff. And I see Matt's age in his wrestling. He just looks older. But Jeff can still do pretty much anything. Like, he can take bumps with the best of them. But as far as the match goes, very basic. Each person got their stuff in. It's what happens afterwards that is interesting. What did you think about the match and what happens afterwards?
Yeah, I thought the match was really good. Nothing. You're right. Nothing too special. It was just a good, solid match. Nothing to write home about, but really nothing to complain about. Yeah, Matt and Jeff really got messed up. Jeff losing the tooth, and I just thought it was spit. Because that happens. I was like, no, he totally got his tooth knocked out. And then Matt got his cheek busted open, and was bleeding from under his eye, and so but yeah, I enjoyed it. It was nothing too special, but really nothing bad at all.
Yeah.
Very, very enjoyable. But yeah, the heel turn by Cesaro and Sheamus at the end. I was like, oh, come on, don't turn him heel. And then Raw, what they did on Raw, I was okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I honestly didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't. I really, really didn't. And yeah, I really you're absolutely right. This is a great tag team feud. It makes these tag titles mean something because they just haven't since New Day lost. Since New Day break the record and then lost them. the tag titles have just kind of been meandering. They've just been in limbo. Really haven't meant much, and now it seems like, all right, awesome. So.
And I just found out what the next pay-per-view is, and this match, I think they're gonna do. I hope they do a match at this pay-per-view because it's Extreme Rules.
Oh, it's Extreme Rules, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so,
nice.
Because I think next week they're doing that tag team turmoil thing that they did on SmackDown, and so I hope Cesaro and Sheamus win so that they can go into Extreme Rules, and just have a TLC match, have something. I think it'd be brilliant.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, that would be really awesome. Maybe since it's Extreme Rules, maybe do like an extreme, TLC match or something like that, and have weapons and stuff like that out. Have the kendo sticks and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, agreed. Anything else about that match?
No.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm glad they turned him heel. It's kind of that cocky heel that we have. I mean, because right now AJ's not necessarily a heel.
Yeah.
He's a cocky babyface maybe,
and
even with Charlotte, she's a cocky babyface. And so we have these different kind of the cockiness. They're not really heels. They're more of a we're here right now. We're of the kind of the new school, type stuff. And they just feel like the Hardys have come in and they're not needed. The Hardys are needed. And so, and what they say on Raw thing. Anyway. All right, next match is Alexa Bliss versus Bayley for the Raw Women's Championship. Caleb, what were your thoughts of this match?
I really enjoyed the match. I thought it was very, very good. Big fan of both these gals. They did an awesome job. This match felt like it went on longer, and it felt more epic. I hate that word because it's just been so overused.
Yeah.
But it felt big. Yeah, I guess as our president once said, it was bigly. And yeah, like it felt big. Yeah, it felt like it went on longer than just 11 minutes. But really enjoyed it. However, the outcome, Alexa Bliss winning. I love Alexa Bliss. She is brilliant. She deserves, like I said, I wanted her to be the first one to win both of the women's titles. However, I wouldn't have done it right now. I wouldn't have done it in Bayley's hometown when she got the biggest pop, even bigger than the one she got at WrestleMania, which I didn't think was possible. Considering that there was 4 times as many people at WrestleMania, like somehow she got an even bigger pop here, in San Jose. And yeah, I love Alexa Bliss. I wanted her to be the next champion after Bayley. I just wouldn't have done it now. That was the only problem I had with it. It just felt like too soon. Honestly, it did. But yeah, the match was really, really good. Just the booking of the end was what about you?
Yeah, it was a good match. There was some miscommunication at times, but overall it was really, really good. There was a sunset flip powerbomb by Alexa Bliss that was really, really awesome. Bayley had a really sweet killer running knee. Again, this is the second surprise on the card. We didn't think Chris Jericho was going to win the title and go over to SmackDown, and we didn't think Alexa was going to win because everything was pointing to Bayley and Sasha. And I think the reason why they did this now is I think it still will be Bayley and Sasha later on down the road. They have so much time between the time they'll be in or near Brooklyn or in Brooklyn. I can't remember when that is.
SummerSlam.
It's
August. It's usually like August 20 something.
Yeah, so they have like several months before then, and so to give Alexa the title shows 2 things. One, she had some backlash from people saying, "Oh, she can't wrestle. Oh, why is she the face of the women's thing?" And so it shows the WWE confidence in Alexa. 1, 2, since she's come to Raw, like her speaking has gotten 1,000 times better. She was good on SmackDown, but like on Raw, when her promo there was extremely strong. It shows that, again, they have confidence in Alexa. It's not the end all. I think in order to get to Sasha Banks' heel turn, they needed something like kind of a placeholder, and Alexa can do that for the time being. I think Bayley will win it back at maybe Money in the Bank, probably Money in the Bank, if not sooner on a Raw.
Money in the Bank's a Raw one.
Oh, sorry. Extreme Rules.
Oh, Extreme Rules.
Oh,
okay.
that would be Bailey and Alexa, who all of them in an Extreme Rules match of some sort.
That'd be cool.
That'd be rad. So I just think Alexa's a placeholder, and to show confidence in her. I think her wrestling's gotten better, even coming on Raw, because I think it's weird because I think she had better wrestlers to wrestle on SmackDown, but when she came here, I don't know, maybe it's the fact that I don't really have confidence in a lot of the wrestling outside of Emma and outside of Mickey James and Alicia Fox on Raw. Outside of a couple of ladies, I don't think Bailey's too great. I think she's got her not necessarily one trick pony. She's got her moves that she needs to get in, but Alexa throws in kind of a wrench of, hey, you guys need to be a better wrestler. So for me, I like Alexa as champion. It was weird.
I do, just not right now.
And at first, I kind of had the same thing, but for now, she is my hashtag Raw Women's Champion.
All right, so we go from the Raw Women's match to the match everybody was talking about, the one everybody couldn't wait to see because they figured it would be the absolute worst. Jeremy, Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton, the end-all, be-all, the brand new, quote-unquote, buried alive match that The Undertaker had. Hopefully we won't have as many of those as we won't have as many of these as we did of those, but House of Horrors match, Jeremy. Part 1 and Part 2 of it. Put them together. Smush. What did you think of the House of Horrors match?
I didn't hate it. I know that there were a lot of people who were like, "Oh, this is dumb. They should have made a movie." Or I think a lot of people said that they took from Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't care. Like, I want to be entertained. I watch this to be entertained. The only issue I have is this a match that they should have done at a pay-per-view? No. This should have been a Raw match. Because what happens is people pay the big bucks to go watch a pay-per-view. And they have to watch the screen. And so when they're sitting there watching the screen and watching Bray and Randy somewhere else, which we find out was taped in Missouri beforehand, you can actually go find the house. People have found it. It's for sale for about $37,000. So if you want to go buy that house, you could go do that.
Turn it into a WWE Route 66 tourist spot or something.
Yeah. As far as everything goes, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. I mean, they start off at a house and then they end up. Of course, they said that was going to happen, but I didn't hate it. I mean, they did what they could in a small house. Like I said, I didn't hate it. I was entertained by the fact that his door opened by itself, the limo door opened by itself. Tractors were just rolling along by itself. It's funny.
It turned into Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah, exactly. And then eventually, Randy gets a fridge dumped on him. Okay, awesome. And then we get back to the stadium, and I thought it ended fine. Outside of, again, Bray, I think the biggest problem is they don't have any confidence in Bray, which is sad, because they protected him with having Jinder come out, and the Singh brothers, or Bollywood boys, however you want to call it. So as far as that goes, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate the ending. I liked most of the match. What did you think of it? Okay. Just rambling now.
Yeah, honestly, it was not bad. During the first part of it, the stuff in the house and stuff like that, I was just like, this could be absolutely dreadful. It is not. Yep. Like, every so often I kind of, like, I know some people, like, were laughing at the baby doll room and stuff like that. They're like, oh, that is so silly. But honestly, I was like, that's creepy. Like, it really, really is creepy and stuff like that. And, like, some of them had, like, knives in them, and they had, like, buttons, like, hot glue gun to the face and stuff. And, like, okay, it actually was kind of funny how a couple of them he, like, had drawn beards on with, like, Sharpie. That was actually pretty funny. But, yeah, and then when you told me that your daughter, Cora, was, like, thinking, haha, that's funny, I was just like, that's creepy that she thought that was funny. I thought that was funny. But, but yeah, I didn't hate it at all, and you know, having it was kind of hokey having like creepy music play the whole time, but it worked, and yeah, I didn't hate it either. It was nothing spectacular by any means, but it could have been horrendous, but it made up for it by ending in the ring the way it did. The whole thing with having Jinder come out and stuff like that makes perfect sense for the storyline that they're setting up with him and Randy. And Randy's the champion, you got to make him look strong, but they want Bray to win, and you know, and I get that, and you know, he's kind of like the Ministry of Darkness Undertaker, where he's this big bad guy everybody's afraid of, but he just always loses, you know. So yeah, it sucks that they don't have confidence in him because he's brilliant, but you need a bad guy who, you know. I mean, you know, look at Die Hard. The bad guy always has to die at the end. And so he is that big bad guy. You're like, oh, he's such a good bad guy. But he dies at the end because John McClane can't die. So so it's that kind of thing. But yeah, yeah, I agree. It was not bad. It could have been absolutely horrendous, but I honestly did not hate it.
If anything, for me, it was too short.
I'd agree with that.
The video stuff. You know, apparently they had put out on their social media pictures of going up the stairs. Like, why didn't they go up the stairs?
Yes.
Why didn't they go downstairs? I don't know if they had a basement or whatever, but why didn't they explore the whole house?
It becomes like Evil Dead. They like go into the cellar and fight like an Evil Dead.
But I mean, there's so many great pictures now. There's so many great, not necessarily memes, but you know, when they're on the floor in the kitchen, like that's silly.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's silly. I didn't hate it. You didn't hate it. So it entertained us.
But just gotta say this real quick. I said this to you the other night when we kind of chatted just for a minute about it. But when you know, Bray did his entrance and then came to the ring and the lights came up and Randy just like rose above him, like you know, like behind him, like I loved that. Like,
it was a great shot.
It was a great shot. It was like, you know, in Rambo 4 when like, you know, the bad guy, like, you know, is like on the gun turret in the back of the truck, and then you know, Rambo just like pops up behind him and you like didn't even see it. Like it was something kind of cool like that, you know, and stuff. But yeah, could have been absolutely terrible, but was actually not bad. So
agreed.
So
all right. With that, we have the next match: the Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe. What were your thoughts?
Not much. Just it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I mean, there's not much else I could say. I mean, it was just really good. They both did a really good job. It looks like it's far from over, which is good. I actually want to see Samoa Joe win one. You know, I think it seems like they need to go back more into doing a best of 3 kind of thing when it's
not 50-50.
Yeah, not 50-50. Stop that because it's wrestling communism. Everybody gets a win. You know?
Yeah, best out of 3 or best out of 5, depending on how long you need a feud.
Unless like you have a champion newly cemented, like this is just because this is one of my favorite feuds. I know I've mentioned this several times in the past. It's been a while since I mentioned it, but like the build up to WrestleMania 21 in 2005, where Batista beat Triple H for the title. He beat Triple H at WrestleMania for the title, and then they had 2 rematches, and he won all 3 of the matches. Because when you're establishing a champion, yes, you need him to win all the matches if you want him to have the belt for a really long time. Yep. But for everybody else, you don't have to keep doing, oh yeah, I'll win the first one, but you know, you get to win the second one. Like, but then that's it. It's like, no, do a third one too. So like, you know, do like, you know, Seth Rollins wins this one, Samoa Joe wins another one, and then have a third one to end it. And then since they're building up Seth, you know, along with, you know, Finn, it looks like, you know, have Seth Rollins win the third one. So, but yeah, because yeah, I'm sick of the whole 50-50 thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was really, really good. There was one part that made me absolutely die laughing was when Samoa Joe just like I forgot if he did a leg drop or he did an elbow drop on Seth's knee, and Seth dropped MFer like.
When he turned around and
you could like he just boom, and then he just sold it, and he was just like and he was like, his mouth and his eyes went like just opened up super wide. Then you see him just yell MFer, like that was hilarious.
The crazy thing is they replayed that part.
They did, and they dropped it where he goes mother, and then as he was signaling for the F, they like froze it and then stopped. But that part made me laugh out loud, like hysterically. Other than that one thing, the match was really, really good. I enjoyed it. What about you?
Yeah, I didn't hate the match. It is definitely their first match, kind of in the series of matches. And so I don't hate it. I mean, it wasn't like the greatest thing, but it didn't have to be. All it had to really be are two things. One, it had to be filler between the Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton match. So it had to be filler for that. It had to be long enough to be convincing that Bray is back at the arena. So that's one thing you need to do. The other thing you need to do is establish that these two hate each other, which it did. It had established that Seth, his leg still hurts, which I hope they get rid of that soon because it's annoying me. But as far as that goes, the storytelling about his knee was fine. That like knee breaker or whatever happened, that was cool looking. It wasn't bad. You know, we get Samoa Joe to do the Coquina clutch, or to start to do the Coquina clutch, and then Rollins pins him. That's a good ending to a first match because it makes this whole match made both look strong. You're right. You're absolutely right. Samoa Joe needs to win the next one, and they need to have a third one to end it. And that should end with Seth Rollins winning in order to, if they are wanting him to go into the Universal title match eventually, that would be how they do that.
Okay. Now we will move to the main event. The Monster Among Men, or whatever they call him these, I don't know. Braun Strowman versus the Big Dog, the Juggernaut, the Powerhouse, whatever he's called this week. Roman Reigns, the Samoan Slugger. I don't know. Whatever. All right, the big guys. Jeremy, what'd you think of the Roman Reigns Braun Strowman matchup? Part 2.
They did exactly what they needed to do with this match. Braun needed to win it. Roman needed to come out looking hurt. And that's exactly what they did. And so, as far as that goes, I enjoyed it. There were a couple really cool, interesting spots. There was a weird reverse bear hug on the mat that Braun was doing to Roman. That Roman was. And that's the other thing. Roman sold really, really well. But Roman sold this like squeezing air out of him. This weird thing that was happening. I don't know if it was planned or what, but it was a cool looking move. But as far as everything else goes, Braun broke the screen to the pole, which was kind of interesting. It was a great spear involved. Braun won after the second Bulldog Power Slam, which I'm going to call it because that's what it needs to be called.
It's a running Power Slam.
Nope. Bulldog Power Slam because of the British Bulldog.
Yeah, I know.
Get off my back.
And
then Braun
I agree with you.
Continues to attack him. It's exactly what it needed to do. I did eventually watch what happened afterwards. That was cool. When they were at the ambulance and they were putting Roman in, and Roman gets out of the way, and Braun just
breaks the door,
destroys the door to set up what happens on Monday night. Brilliant, because the next pay-per-view is Extreme Rules, and from all I hear, or that it sounds like, it's going to be an ambulance match. And so we're finally getting that. And I also heard that the reason why this wasn't an ambulance match was because Vince, brilliantly so, I know I've been using that a lot this pay-per-view, but I think looking back, this pay-per-view will probably be Raw's best pay-per-view going forward. Maybe Extreme Rules, we'll see. But as far as setting a lot of stuff up, Vince had said that he only wants one gimmick match per pay-per-view. And they had the House of Horrors match. The next one will be. I mean, they'll have more gimmick matches, but
at Extreme Rules they usually have a few Extreme Rules matches.
Yeah. So that makes sense. But at like Payback, you don't want a whole lot.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It looks like we might be getting an ambulance match.
So unless it's a gimmick pay-per-view like Hell in a Cell or Extreme Rules, only one gimmick match. I'm cool with that.
And so those were my thoughts. What were your thoughts?
I enjoyed it. It was I just looked at the time right now. It was almost 12 minutes. Just 10 minutes.
It felt longer.
I know, right? Like it was just 10 seconds away from being 12 minutes long, and it felt like it was a lot longer. These guys work well together, man.
It probably was because of all the extended stuff that happened afterwards.
Yeah, probably, yeah. For sure. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was really good. These guys worked really well together. It kind of annoys me that, all right, here's the thing. I at first was like, what? Come on. But then I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, just for a split second, I hated that Roman lost just because it's like, and then everybody else was like, haha, Roman lost, ha 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 ha. And it's just like, he just beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And like, if this was anybody else, I feel like they would be mad. Like, he just beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania and you're just going to have him lose at the next pay-per-view? But since it's Roman Reigns, they love it. They don't care. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that was my only gripe. I just hate all the people who are like, haha, yeah, Roman, haha, take that. It's like, if this was John Cena, Randy Orton, whoever else, Seth Rollins, he'd be like, what, he just beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania? And you just had him lose at the next pay-per-view? What did you have The Undertaker lose for then, man? But anyways, we don't need to go into another big, long discussion of how the fans need to quit being jerks to Roman and just appreciate him. But anyways, yeah, I thought, yeah, it made sense. Like, Roman was hurt. That was a great storyline thing, having him be hurt so he would lose. Mm-hmm. Because he probably will win at Extreme Rules if they have an Extreme Rules match or some kind of ambulance stretcher match, something like that. So, be interested. It'll probably just be an Extreme Rules match with an ambulance by the stage, and you have to
possibly
put him in the ambulance and then tip it over with a forklift or something. I don't know.
Or fight in an ambulance.
Or fight in an
We get to pin them in an ambulance.
The ambulance.
I don't
know. I just hope it's not bad. Because these guys haven't had a bad match yet, I don't think.
No, they really haven't.
And they work really well together. Roman is one of the few guys who can believably beat Braun Strowman. And stuff. And it was funny how, I forgot who it was, I think it was one of the What Culture guys, I can't remember, but somebody said it was like a boss battle in a video game, how Roman kept jumping out of the way and making Strowman run into the LED turnbuckle poles. So that was that was kind of cool, and they made Roman look strong even in defeat, which is hard to do in wrestling. But they did a good job of that, and yeah, Braun, like he just did the Bulldog Slam. I'll start calling it that now too, because it's pretty. You're right, yeah, it is the British Bulldog's move. So yeah, but yeah, he did it, and then Roman kicked out, and then he just was like, all right, screw it, picked him up, did it again, and then he beat him. So didn't do the stupid heel thing of like, what am I gonna do? And then he just lets enough time for the good guy to get up and then hit him. But yeah, this feud is I've really been enjoying this feud, and I think I'll really enjoy where it is going from here. So knowing that Extreme Rules is next up, definitely is a good way to continue it. And all that, and they probably want to make Roman look strong after this. They want him. I'd assume they would want him to bounce back big, from this and stuff. So, but yeah, the stuff that happened after, I really liked as well. Like, I don't know if he had a blood pack or he actually like bit his lip or something.
Someone said that they saw the refs or whatever give him a blood pack. Okay. I never saw it.
Okay.
But that's what I. Yeah, that's what I understand.
But yeah, so like add some, added some drama to that stuff. Having him like barely standing and spitting up the blood, stuff like that. It really bothered me. Everybody was chanting, "You deserved it. You deserved it." Yep. For many number of reasons. Number one being the guy just lost his brother. Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. That one being the biggest.
Yep.
They're chanting, "You deserved it, you deserved it," and he's sitting there coughing up blood. And yes, I know it's fake blood, dummies, but it's just like, you can't just take it easy on him for this at least one pay-per-view. His brother just died a week and a half ago, guys. Come on. Anyways.
Agreed.
But yeah, I like that. The beginning of Talking Smack where they continued what happened, and he went backstage and he was like leaning against the white brick wall and he just goes, and like spit out a big mouthful of blood on the brick wall. I thought that was cool. Or, I don't know, it just reminded me of something like Clint Eastwood would have done in like in a western or something like that. Just stand up and like just cool, like not like he's not hurt at all, just spit out a mouthful of blood. It's like, man, that dude's tough. And then yeah, the stuff with the ambulance was great. Braun just took the door off, and then Roman just wailed on it with the other door. Yeah, that was awesome. All that, it was good stuff. So yeah. That was WWE Payback. Covered it. Did you have anything else you wanted to bring up about that or anything?
It was a decent pay-per-view. I thought it was way better than everybody else says it was.
Oh, for sure, 100%. Like, yeah, Simon Miller, like, he hated this, and I really, really liked it. I thought this was one of the better Raw pay-per-views. I think this is maybe the best Raw pay-per-view since the brand split.
Probably.
Because I liked Fastlane, but, I liked Fastlane okay, but, I can't really think of any other Raw exclusive pay-per-views that were this good. Like, this one was really, really good. So, a rating, okay, Stone Cold Broken Skull IPA on a scale of 1 to 5, Jeremy. What do you give WWE Payback?
I thought it was really serviceable. Like you said, it was the best Raw Payback, or the best Raw pay-per-view since the brand split. And so, because of that, I'm gonna give it a 3.75. I don't want to give it a 4. It wasn't necessarily that caliber, but it was really well done. Yeah, 3.75. What about you?
Okay. Honestly, I am gonna give it a 4 because I just really, really did enjoy it. I really, really did. Jericho, the surprise win by Jericho, and that match was great. The cruiserweight match was great. The way to close it out was great. The House of Horror match was not bad, so that definitely gives it a plus. And so for me it's a 4 just because it surpassed my expectations. I was kind of, so it probably is just kind of me looking at it through rose-colored glasses. This is probably actually a 3.5, but because it surpassed my expectations and the House of Horror match was not terrible, I'm just gonna go ahead and break down and give it a 4 because I really did enjoy it. So
fair enough.
All right, cool. Well, folks, that was WWE Payback. Now we move on to Raw is Jericho.
Not this week.
But it's not anymore.
Sorry. Yeah, not this week.
As soon as I said that, I was just like, oh yeah, it's not anymore. So you and I had like the thought at the exact same time. Anyways, Monday Night Raw. It's no longer the Kevin Owens show. Raw is no longer Jericho. It is the Ambrose Asylum.
and maybe even Alexa Bliss's, she doesn't want to be called a queen, because queen is dead.
Yes.
She wants to be called a goddess, but still have a coronation.
Yes. Make no sense, Alexa Bliss.
But, Alexa Bliss is doing a really good job. Anyway, what did you think about this? Or what were the things you liked and the things you didn't?
Once again, for the second straight week, I thought Monday Night Raw was really solid. Very much enjoyed it. The opening with Alexa Bliss, just spectacular on that mic, working that crowd like she does, man. It was great. Man, she did a great job, and she was up on her pedestal, literally and metaphorically.
Yep.
And I thought that was great, and it's funny because she still wasn't that much taller than Tamina and Nia, which was funny. And then I love how she was, giving Bayley the business, and then Bayley just ran over and tipped the pedestal over, and then a brawl broke out. And, the match they had was pretty enjoyable, and I enjoyed that. And but
about that match, I want to see Alicia Fox versus Sasha Banks.
Yes.
The way they were going at it, like, I really want to see that. Sorry,
no.
I don't have anything else to say about those things, but that's what
Good point. Yeah. No Braun or Roman this week. They're both quote unquote recuperating because they're both quote unquote hurt.
Yep.
Because wrestling is quote unquote scripted. I don't know how to quote unquote use air quotes properly. I just keep saying quote unquote because it's fun. But yeah, so because they both got messed up at Payback. So for the storyline purposes, they are gone and stuff. But yeah, man. Everything with Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, that was great. I love that Balor was like, hey, Seth, we've been on the same page recently, but if anybody is gonna face Brock Lesnar, it's me, and all that stuff. And so yeah, I thought that was cool. How he was like, Seth was like, I beat the King of Kings, I beat the Destroyer, and now I want the Beast. And then I was like, Finn Balor's gonna come out. Because he basically said he wanted to get the title. Because on the Miz TV segment on Payback, he was like, Miz was like, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to get my title back. And he just goes, you know who has the title? He goes, yes, and I don't care. And I was just like, Yeah. My people, the Irish, yes. Don't care. Don't care at all. Just like, oh yeah, I know Brock Lesnar has the title. I don't care. When I kick his butt and take it back, I am. Anyways, but yeah, I thought that was everything. And then like just, and then Dean comes out just because he's Dean. I thought that was great, and and he's just like, yeah, Brock's not here. He just buried Lesnar. I loved it. Brock Lesnar just fights when he wants, who he wants, da 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 da. I'm right here.
I'll fight anyone
This is the
anytime.
title.
Yeah.
This is the main title on Raw, baby. And then Miz came out. And
my favorite part about that is when he's getting into the ring, he goes, Brock, 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 Brock. You both sound like a couple of chickens. That was really funny.
That was great, yeah. And then Miz comes out and starts jawing too, and then I love it. He just pulls his phone out and he calls Kurt Angle. He's like,
yeah.
And then like he's like puts the microphone away from his mouth and he turns around and he's talking. He's like, hey, and Seth's like, what are you doing? Hey, who are you calling? Hey, what are you doing? And then he's like, all right, I just called Kurt Angle. I don't think he really appreciated me having his phone number and all that stuff.
Seth was really funny. I don't know why he felt like he needed to, talk during that part, or at least be heard during that part. But that was really silly. But when the Miz came out, sorry to kind of go through that.
No, please.
When the Miz came out, it was like, I deserve this. I deserve that title. Corey goes, you didn't earn it, like because he was like, you two haven't earned anything, and he's playing that up, and he says, I deserve that title. Corey's like, you didn't earn it. Like, it was funny. Watching wrestling with her is probably my favorite thing.
That is hilarious.
She's going to kindergarten next year, so I won't be able to do that as much, which is sad. But it's fun. But yeah, all that stuff, all the stuff that Dean did inside was great.
But so yeah, that was good. All that stuff with them. There's some other stuff too, but I'm kind of drawing a blank right now. I'll turn it over to you in a minute, and so you can kind of fill in the blanks and stuff. But yeah, man, everything Dean Ambrose did was amazing. Like, he was on his game, just like that wasn't on a pay-per-view, I don't think. That was just on SmackDown, where he was
the Mountie.
Where he was dressed up as the Mountie, and then he was dressed up as the he was dressed up in the Ottawa Senators hockey gear, and earlier he had the he had like the pizza, and he was like offering Shane O'Mac the pizza. He's like, no, just get out of here. He's like, sure you don't want pizza? It's good. And then like all that stuff, like he was on point this week too, and just like I love how he just was it Dasha or Charlie or who was it? Was interviewing Miz, and then Miz is talking, and then the microphone just kind of pulls away a little bit, and then he turns, and then the camera pans out, and you see it's Dean having the microphone now. He just goes, okay. Like, then he shows up, and he's interviewing Seth. That whole thing was funny, and he's just like, well, Seth Rollins has some surprises for Dean Ambrose. Well, Dean Ambrose was surprised by Seth Rollins once. It ain't gonna happen again. And then I just love how he was just like, this is me and Dean Ambrose. Back to you, gorilla. Like, that was awesome.
Yeah, my favorite one was with Seth. Well, I take it back, because when the last one was really good with Finn too. But the Seth went back and forth because they kept saying each other, like,
they kept talking in third person.
Third person. I was like, that's hilarious. That's really, really funny. And to have those two in the same, and when, like you said, when the Miz was like, this is me and Dean signing off. Bobby, back to you, Bobby, and whatever, back to you. And then he says gorilla. He was just on his game. I don't know how you don't like that.
Yeah.
People wouldn't like that because it's funny.
It is.
It's really well done.
And yeah, the part with Finn where he's just like, oh yeah, one more thing. And then he hands over the donut. He's like, eat a carb, man. Then he takes the bite, and then he hands it back to Dean. Then Dean takes the bite, and then he hears the guitar. And it's the Drifter. What's the guy's name?
The Drifter thing.
Oh, I didn't know.
Elias.
Yeah, and he just sitting there, and Dean's just, yeah, all right. Know any Pearl Jam? And then he just keeps walking away. And he's just like, yeah, I like it.
That's really, really fun.
That had, dude, Dean Ambrose was awesome this week. That was awesome. Like, like I do stuff like that every single day. That's why I say I'm the Dean Ambrose of everyday life, because I do stuff like that all the time. And so Dean Ambrose made this episode of Raw. Like, I was like, man, it sucks that they don't have Y2J anymore, even though he's going away on tour and stuff. It's like when he comes back, then I was like, they got Dean Ambrose, they're fine.
Because they got Dean, they got Miz, they've got people who can talk and be funny at the same time. You're right. SmackDown is gonna suffer a little bit because they don't have Jericho. They don't have that comedic. I can't think of anybody who is that comedic timing anymore on SmackDown. which is sad. But
yeah,
SmackDown
but when
is
Bo and
still a
Jericho
solid
comes
show.
back, it'll be better. But yeah, man. So yeah, that was my thoughts on it. You know, all the stuff I just mentioned, but especially Ambrose. He just made this. There's some stuff I did have, but I completely drew a blank on it. So I'll turn it over to you and what your thoughts were.
Yeah, everything that you said were my favorite things. I really liked. There is one thing I didn't really care for, but I'll talk about that in a second. The only other thing that you didn't talk about was that I wanted to mention was the cruiserweight match, not the tag team, but the TJP versus
the tag team match was really good too.
Was it?
Yes.
Didn't see it because of Hulu.
Stupid Hulu.
Stupid Hulu. I should get a sticker made out. Stupid Hulu.
Yeah.
The TJP versus Austin Aries was really well done. TJP looked good. I like this kind of the new heel persona, and what happened at the end with, even though Austin wins, TJP attacks Austin's knee and puts him in the knee bar, and apparently Neville had told him to go out and take care of this or whatever, and he didn't win the match. TJP didn't win the match, but TJP took care of Austin Aries at the end. I love the fact that Austin Aries' forearm is called the discus 5-arm.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. TJP had Austin in the half crab on the turnbuckle on the top rope, which was really cool idea. It was just a really good match. And I don't want to talk about the main event yet. The negative thing I had about this was Bray Wyatt introducing himself to Kurt Angle.
That was weird. That whole thing was weird.
I mean, other than to set up what happens later,
mm-hmm.
the fact that he's there, okay, but it was just dumb.
It was weird. I didn't get it.
And so as far as Raw goes, I thought it was a really solid Raw. Finally, they get the guys who can do the comedic stuff, and it made it more entertaining. Alexa is continuing to get better leaps and bounds on the mic, and so for my money, it was a solid show.
Okay, well, let's talk about the main event.
All
right, take it away.
Main event was where am I at? It was Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins versus The Miz. Caleb, what did you?
Oh no, I wanted you to.
You want me to think
I wanted you to.
This 5-star match. Everything that happened in this match was awesome. Like, it was slow in the beginning, or sort of slow in the beginning, but everything that happened, even at the end, I love this match. It is on. I think it's either number 3 or number 4 on my top 10 of the year matches. It was just such a great match. I want to go back and watch this match because it was so good. There's just so many different spots. The ending, I actually really enjoyed. So many near falls, so many different things. Bray coming in, Joe coming in, every bit of it. And then it had to end with Miz being the number 1 contender, even though we've seen Miz and Dean like so many different times on SmackDown. It had to be that way because that's what they were setting up. And Joe had to come out and set up that feud, and Bray had to come up and continue, or actually set up that feud. And so as far as the match goes, just so many great things. The double blockbuster, which was really cool, is a little messed up, but I'll forgive it for that. It was just so many great things. What were your thoughts about the match?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. It was. Oh man, yeah, it was great. Like, it's funny because you and I have talked about who should be the top babyface and stuff like that, and like people are like, oh yeah, they're just gonna continue to push Roman to the moon, but they love Seth too, and they're pushing him a little too and stuff more and more. But this match, ever since he came back and further proving this match, I'm like, honestly, I think it should be Finn. I mean, the dude is more over than both of them, I think, and yeah, if anybody, even though I think it would be great to have Roman beat Brock for the title, turn heel, and then have Finn Balor win the Royal Rumble and then beat Roman at WrestleMania for the Universal title, I think it would be awesome if Finn Balor beat Brock Lesnar for the Universal title, just because he deserves it. He really does. That's why I started the hashtag put it back on Finn. Everybody who's listening, anybody who's listening, I don't know how many, What's up, Ryan? Yeah, start it. Go on Twitter. Hashtag put it back on Finn. Yeah, this match was amazing. All three of the guys did great jobs. Miz did his usual waiting outside the ring, and then when he tried to like team up with either one of them, and then they both just teamed up on him and stuff. All that was great. Yeah, like all these guys shined great, man. And to have Samoa Joe attack Rollins and then have Bray Wyatt attack Balor, both of those rivalries I'm looking forward to very much so. And then having Miz win, I was just like, everything that happened was great. Everything that happened. Is it a 5-star match? Probably. Probably. Like, I will not argue with anybody.
I'm sure that it won't be given 5 stars, but it was for me. It was
well, yeah, it's not from Japan, so Meltzer won't give it 5 stars.
Did you hear that, Meltzer?
No. Getting my digs in. I'm just kidding. I respect Dave Meltzer, but yeah, he kind of overrates some Japan stuff sometimes. There's other great wrestling, not just Japanese. But anyways, it was just a harmless joke. Yeah, I thought it was a great way to end the show, man. Like it was one of the best televised matches I've seen in a really long time. And we've seen some great ones, over the past 10 months we've been doing the podcast. We've seen some good televised matches. This is one of the best, if not the best. Man, it's great. Good way to end the show. So, anything else you want to bring up?
No, not about. No.
All right, cool. Well, Broken Skull IPA out of 5. What do you give this Monday Night Raw here?
The main event, I give 5.
Yep.
It was a great match. Alexa Bliss, I give a 5. Everything else, I actually give it a 4.5. I thought it was a really good show. Like I said, I only get to see bits and pieces. I don't get to see the entire episode because of Hulu. But what I saw, I enjoyed. It's mixed Raw with SmackDown, and I think it's done it successfully. What about you?
I think I'd give it a 4.5 also. Yeah, it was great. It was really, really good. All the stuff it set up, all the stuff it's doing. Like Ambrose was on fire. That main event was wicked. Yeah, it was great, man. This is one of the best Raws ever.
Yeah, it really was.
It was just a great. Since you and me got back into this, it's probably definitely garners competition for being the best Monday Night Raw we've seen. It was really great, man. Lot to like here. So there you go. 4.5 from both of us for Monday Night Raw. I think that's the first.
All right, so we move on from Raw to SmackDown Live. Caleb, is there anything that you enjoyed about SmackDown or wanted to talk about that you didn't like?
I'll let you take this one first since I did Raw first. I'll let you go first this time.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that I hated. There wasn't really anything that I remember. I enjoyed the thing in the beginning with Jinder, taking pictures with the title. I thought that was really funny. Shane was obviously quoting he was obviously relaying his lines. He has done better in the past, but for some reason he was just line for line. Shoot, I lost my place. So that was a little weird. I think my favorite things were Chris Jericho in the beginning was really good. The fact that AJ came out and was like, I haven't forgotten about the past. We had a Y2 AJ shirt. Throwback to last year. Around this time? Might have been around this time. No, it was maybe around this time when they had their tag team, which was really, really funny. But Y2J got a really big pop. AJ got a really big pop. That stuff was good, and then KO came out after a bit, and he's like super angry. So we get it, we understand. The Sammy Jinder match was okay. The stuff they did with Becky Lynch was good. I don't think Becky Lynch has looked better. Like she is gorgeous. She is in shape. She's just a beautiful woman. But I love what they did during the match. The welcoming committee, which is officially their name now, came out and greeted Charlotte and I enjoyed that part. You know, they beat up Charlotte, and then they go to the ring, and Naomi holds her own. I mean, Naomi herself looked really good. Like she's getting some definition in her abs.
Yeah,
they spray painted it really well too. Like she's looking really, really good, and she looked strong during that match when she was by herself. But then at the end, after everybody gets kind of beaten up, and Naomi gets beaten up, and Charlotte gets beaten up too, Becky Lynch comes out, and I like what she did. It was really well done, where she went over to Charlotte and kind of looked at her and kind of had her back to the welcoming committee as if maybe she was going to jump on Charlotte, and then she turns around, shakes each lady's hand, and gives Natalya a hug, and then goes into hug James, which is great because of their Twitter feud.
Mm-hmm.
That's really funny.
Which, if you haven't been paying attention to that, where have you been, man? It's awesome.
I mean, James and Becky wants to face Charlotte or face James, which is really funny in a match. Make that happen, somebody, because that would be hilarious. But goes in for a hug and then just starts wailing on everybody, or turns around and starts wailing on everybody, which was really, really, really well done. Really decent Ty Dillinger showing, and the Aiden English crying in the ring, and then come back to probably my favorite thing on the whole show, Chris Jericho calling Renee Ronnie, which was really funny.
Yeah.
And then Aiden English comes in and is like, there's no crying on SmackDown. It's okay. Life's good, right? Besides, you know what happens? You know what happens when you cry on Chris Jericho's new show? He made the list, and then Renee made the list. That was really funny.
For like no reason, he just goes, and you just made the list too.
Yeah, that was really funny.
And she was just like, like, yeah, that was great.
Dolph Ziggler, Sin Cara. Sin Cara looked really bad.
Yeah, I think it's a new Sin Cara. That's why he's wearing the shirt.
I'm guessing.
That's my guess.
Either that or he let himself go a little bit.
Yeah, who knows?
At first, I thought it was Chris Jericho because I thought he said "baby," and when I thought I heard that.
That would have been funny if he pulled off the mask and it was Chris Jericho.
That would have been hilarious.
Because of their fight they had on the tour bus or whatever.
Sorry, I forgot. That was really funny. And then the Fashion Files.
Yes.
Was the best.
Yeah, that was great.
Breezango or Tyler Breeze typing on typewriter. All those pictures that were hanging up. I don't know if you noticed some of them, like Shinsuke crossed out no style, and then John Cena's picture, like nowhere to be found, like whatever it says, like missing or whatever it said.
Yeah,
that was really, really funny. All those other pictures had Classy Freddie Blassie in a picture down there. That was really good. Oh, the Uggos! Like every bit of this was brilliant.
It was.
The jaywalking and Jimmy walking was great. Oh man, it was just brilliant comedy. I look forward to the Windy Apple. And so, I mean, the things that didn't work for me were the Dolph Ziggler Sin Cara match and what was the other thing? I don't remember. Doesn't matter. But I mean, there was just a couple things that didn't work for me. What about you? What worked for you? What didn't?
Yeah, the Dolph Ziggler Sin Cara thing was weird. Didn't get that. Yeah, it's I don't know. But yeah, that whole thing was weird. But yeah, everything you said that you liked, I liked. It's it's hard to not like all the stuff that you just mentioned. Yeah, all the stuff with Becky Lynch and the welcoming committee was great, and I was just like, I was like, I hope they don't turn her heel, man. She's Becky Lynch, and stuff. And even though people wouldn't see it coming and all that jazz, I was like, come on, don't do it. She's too over to turn her heel and stuff like that. And and it's not like a situation where it's like Roman or Cena, where it's like, he's just doing the same thing. We don't want to be complacent, turn him heel, so it's something different. Like, it's not something like that, because it's not been going on that long. But anyways, so yeah, and then all the stuff she was doing, and then when she's like, looks at Ellsworth, she's like, let's hug it out, and then just throws him into Tamina, and then starts wailing. I was like, you're absolutely right. That was brilliant. That was great. I loved that. And so yeah, it seems as though Charlotte is turning face and all of that. And so I think her, I think Charlotte, Becky, and Naomi are going to be a cool team up kind of thing. So And yeah, the whole welcoming committee thing, I'm glad that they're still continuing to call them that. And I actually like what they're doing with all them.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's awesome. So yeah, for sure, man. That's great. And yeah, Chris Jericho made it. You know, the opening with him and AJ Styles and Shane was great. But yeah, the backstage thing with Aiden English and Renee Young was fantastic. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was awesome, man. Like, yeah, it was just it was awesome, you know. And the beginning part with Jinder getting the picture taken with it, that was funny. You know, that was silly. So you know, don't know where Randy was this week.
Well, he's still reeling from he's still trapped in the burning fire that never happened.
Yeah, he's still horrified from the House of Horrors match. Whatever, or maybe he just doesn't care. He's just
who knows?
Who knows? But yeah, so yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it was their match.
Yeah, main event.
Did you talk about that yet? Oh, okay, I couldn't remember. But yeah,
there weren't a whole lot of matches. I mean, just the Sin Cara. I mean, there weren't a whole lot of matches, but the main event of
the Kevin Owens coming out, you know, because AJ Styles was about to be put on the list by Jericho, and then Kevin Owens came out and stuff like that, and all that. So I thought that was really interesting. A lot of good stuff. So let's talk about the main event, I guess.
All right. Well, I thought it was a really solid showing. You know, it was a really good third act. I thought. You know, they went back to WrestleMania and did a couple spots in WrestleMania, so it kind of made you remember that match. It made you remember the Payback match, and then at the end, we got what we thought was going to happen. And so, yeah, I thought it was a decent match. It was a nice way to send Jericho off. You know, because the last time when Kevin Owens jumped him at the Festival of Friendship, he was out for a little bit, and so now, I mean, I thought they did a really good job of kind of putting him on the shelf for a while.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about the match and what happened afterwards?
Yeah, I thought the match was pretty good. You know, for a storyline TV match, you know, it was really, really good. And yeah, all the stuff that happened after it, you know, for a second it looks like he's, you know, gonna go into the ring and help him up and stuff like that. It looks like he has this kind of regretful look on his face. Then he just goes in there and just wails on him and does another pop. Then they help him up, they help him out, comes back, does it again, all that and stuff. So yeah, all that stuff, you know, it's good. Yeah, they're, you know, that's how they're gonna write him off while he's out touring and stuff like that.
I really liked, because I didn't think that Kevin wasn't going to turn on him. Like, I knew that he was, but when Kevin wins and he turns back, his face looks solemn. He looks like, you know, maybe I'll go help him out, but eventually he doesn't. And then at the end, when he puts the chair on Chris's neck, like, that was a pretty good ender. He's going to be out for a while with that, you know, maybe a broken neck or what, or not a broken neck, but you know,
yeah,
like something happened. So anyway, anything else?
No, it was just really, really good. I enjoyed it very much so. Well, I guess that's it for the Raw and the SmackDowns.
All right. Well, as far as SmackDown goes, how many Stone Cold IPAs would you give it? Broken Skull.
That's tough. I don't know. I actually think this is one of the few instances where Raw was actually better. You know, very, very rare that happens. I don't know. Maybe 3.5. Yeah, I'd give it 3.5. I think for sure. You know, it was good. Nothing too spectacular, but you know, it was pretty solid. But you know, it was a rare instance where Raw was actually better. So.
Yeah, I give the Fashion Files a 5.
Yeah, that was great.
Everything else a 3.25.
So, all right, cool. Well, I guess that's it for the weekly recaps, folks, and stuff like that. We will now jump into the Vince McMahon biographical picture project that is going to be coming out soon.
Pandemonium
is what it's called. I think that's actually kind of a good title.
It's interesting.
It's a good title. So, what we're going to be doing is we each have around 10, I think, cast members or stuff like that. Or, you know, I have a couple more because I have like some that'll be like small cameos or whatever, something like that. I think that'll be kind of fun. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do 5, Jeremy's gonna do 5, and then I'm gonna do the rest of them, and then he's gonna do the rest of them, but we're saving our Vince McMahon's for last. So yeah, we will save our Vince McMahon's for last. So well, I will go ahead and take it away. Starting out, behind every great man is a great woman, and Linda McMahon has put up with a lot. She's usually called the nice McMahon.
Yep.
even though Shane recently, Shane's cool. So, well, I have some very interesting choices here in my cast. I can't wait to get around to this. So for Linda McMahon, I have Amy Adams. I think she'd do a good job. She's a very likable, respectable lady, and I think she could play that of Linda McMahon very, very well. So, yeah, that's what I have. I have Amy Adams as Linda McMahon, and then as Vince McMahon Sr., the man who started what would become the WWE today. What Culture actually totally thought alike with me on this. I had John Voight, and I read an article last night about who they would cast, and they actually totally had John Voight on there. I thought that was pretty wicked that they did that as well. So yeah, if you look at pictures of Vince McMahon Sr. in the late 70s, early 80s, and then you look at pictures of John Voight now or whatever, like there's kind of some similarities there and stuff. And so yeah, that's what I would do. Have a John Voight as the Vince Sr. And then as Mean Gene Okerlund, because he needs to make an appearance some way or another. A very interesting choice. I have John C. Reilly as Mean
weird.
Gene. I know. I don't know why, but I just pictured him with the bald head, the mustache, and stuff. I don't know why, but I just pictured him as Mean Gene. I have no idea why. I just thought that would be really interesting. For Mean Gene, I had John C. Reilly. I thought that'd be good. And then we go into if I was making this, what I would do is I would make the Monday Night Wars part of the film. Like, I would make it be young Vince in the 70s and all the way up to, right at the end of the Attitude Era. I would have it cover all that stuff. And so the Monday Night Wars would be a subplot featured in the second half of the film or whatever. I don't know. But, because I'd want it to cover the early years of the 70s, the golden age of the 80s, and then the second, the silver age, of the Attitude Era in the 90s. So yeah, as the quote unquote other kids across the street, I have John Slattery as Ted Turner, the owner of WCW, and then as Eric Bischoff, I have Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Like, I could just totally see, just Nathan Fillion with black hair, put him on a black leather jacket. I'm like, yeah, that dude's Eric Bischoff for sure. I could totally see that. So yeah, that is my first 5. Who do you have?
All right, my first 5. I cast the movie as if I didn't know what was going to happen, because I have older Vince and I have younger Vince. I have older Linda McMahon and I have a younger Linda McMahon. Okay. And so I don't know if they're going to cast it as early on with a name like Pandemonium. Probably not. I mean, it might be Attitude Era. I don't know. So I decided to go ahead and just do kind of a gambit. I like I said, I casted a younger Linda McMahon and an older Linda McMahon. So I will start with her first. As a younger Linda McMahon, Renee Young. It's going to be a WWE Studios film, and they usually like to throw in a cast or one of their talents, and I think Renee Young would be an okay Linda McMahon. For older Linda McMahon, I kind of stole this because I couldn't think of anything. Annette Bening.
Oh.
I think she would be a decent Linda McMahon. You and I, so those the two, you and I were on the same with Vince Sr., John Voight, just looking at him and seeing a picture of Vince Sr., John Voight is the right person for that job. Let's see, where do I go next? I will do Andre the Giant as the Big Show. Big Show's Andre the Giant.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to do that. Bobby Heenan.
Mm-hmm.
I love Bobby Heenan. Jim Gaffigan.
Yes.
Jim Gaffigan as Bobby Heenan would be amazing, I think. So that's my first 5. It was Vince Sr., John Voight, younger Linda McMahon, Renee Young, older Linda, Annette Bening, Andre the Giant is Big Show, and Bobby Heenan is Jim Gaffigan.
Very nice. Okay, now for some superstars / celebrities. First, a cameo, in a small cameo, because there has to be an obligatory scene of Vince McMahon's good friend, our current president, Donald Trump, Alec Baldwin, because of SNL. So, duh. And now, as some of the superstars, I just couldn't think of anybody else just because I have John Cena as Hulk Hogan. Even though John Cena is 6'1" and Hulk Hogan is 6'7", they could just have him stand on apple boxes or something, I don't know. But, I mean, because I've seen John Cena do so many Hulk Hogan impressions over the years. His Hulk Hogan impression is awesome. It's wonderful. I don't know if you've ever seen his Hulk Hogan impression.
Every once in a while. Or a small bit of
it. It's great, and he's got that. He's just got so much charisma and stuff like that. He could do it. You know, the height, yeah, that's a problem. But just like I said, apple boxes. You know, and stuff. Yeah, I think that'd be great. You know, man, I just couldn't think of anybody else who could. You know, and so I was just gonna have to break down and put John Cena. You know, man, just nobody else can. Yeah, I'm with you. Andre has to be in it, and Big Show has to play Andre. There's just nobody else who can. You know, I mean, he just, you know, you put the mutton chops and the curly, you know, hair. It's like he would totally be Andre. You know, and also, the original Hulk Hogan, so to speak, the old school WWE superstar as Bruno Sammartino, because he has to make an appearance in the film, I'm sure. I have John Bernthal, Shane from Walking Dead, because you look at him and then you look at Bruno Sammartino, like, they look a lot alike. And so I think that would be, you know, I think that'd be really, really awesome to see. I think they could, yeah, he just would totally look like a younger Bruno Sammartino from the 70s or 80s. I think that'd be awesome. So, where was I? Sorry, I lost my place. And then, because he just has to be in the movie because he has to, I have the Nature Boy Ric Flair. I just felt like he would have to be in it sometime or another. And very interesting choice. I was thinking about who could do it, and I thought back to a certain episode of a certain TV show that had to do with wrestling, and a certain scene that happened in that certain episode. I have Jensen Ackles as Ric Flair. Because I just kind of sat there and his name popped into my head, and then all of a sudden I was like, huh, I pictured him with the long, like, old school 80s Ric Flair with the long blonde hair in the robe, and I'm just like, dude, I could totally see him as Ric Flair. And the episode of Supernatural, if any of you, we're big fans of that show, the wrestling episode from last season, where he's in the ring and he's doing the Ric Flair walk and he's running the ropes, that's what popped in my head, and then I started thinking about Jensen Ackles. I was like, I don't know why, but I could totally see him being Ric Flair. It's so off model because he plays action heroes and he plays the, you know, he's basically playing Han Solo archetype, you know. But yeah, I could totally see him playing Ric Flair. I want to see him play Ric Flair. I think he could do a pretty good job at that because, you know, he's actually a really good actor. You know, he's not just some throwaway TV star. But yeah, that's who I have as Ric Flair. And then as just like 2 other cameos, small. I have the Montreal Screwjob will probably not be in this, but this isn't about the Montreal Screwjob. But I do have Bret Hart in here. I was trying to think of who would play him, and I have Taylor Kitsch as Bret the Hitman Hart. I could see him with the hair and the glasses and stuff, and he has that kind of cool, laid-back thing that Bret had. So, and then towards the end of the film, I totally want a Mr. McMahon Stone Cold face-off kind of thing, where, you know, they're talking backstage, and then, you know, he goes out there, and then all of a sudden the glass hits, and then you see Stone Cold walk out, you know, something like that. I have Vin Diesel as Stone Cold Steve Austin, just because nobody else could do it. So, All right. Well, Vince McMahon is last. Why don't you go ahead and say all of yours, and then we'll save our Vince McMahons for the very, very last. So do all of your remaining ones sans Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I'm on board with the Hulk Hogan. I agree. John Cena needs to be Hulk Hogan. I also have Randy Savage in my cast and Zack Ryder.
Yeah.
Dude looks like.
It needs to happen.
And he's bulking up, and he could look like an early Randy Savage. And also, because I have Randy, I put Miss Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but Amy Acker or Aker?
Acker, I think.
Acker.
Yeah.
Okay. She's been in a lot of different things.
She's a Joss Whedon favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she is. Tons of different things. Persons of interest. Show called Con Man. Dollhouse. She was on. She was in one of my favorite movies. What was that movie? Say it's one of my favorite movies, and I forget the name. I haven't seen it since it came out though. Cabin in the Woods. She was in Cabin in the Woods. So yeah, I thought she had the look and feel of Miss Elizabeth.
For sure.
And so I have I have a younger Vince and an older Vince.
Okay.
And so I don't know how you want to do that. If you want me to do it first, or if you want to go first.
I'll go. Okay. So right here. Now I picked somebody who I thought who could easily play young Vince and old Vince. So I got somebody who could play Vince McMahon at 30 and could easily play Vince McMahon at 55. Okay. I have John Hamm from Mad Men.
Yeah.
I could, I could just see him with the hairdo in the suit, and doing the voice and stuff like that. I could totally see it. I think he'd be an awesome choice for Vince, and that's because he's 40-ish, like probably in his mid-40s, I think, or something. I don't know, but yeah, I could see him playing Vince McMahon at 30, and I could see him playing Vince McMahon at 55, like I said. So that's who I chose. I picked them. So
my younger Vince McMahon was like back when WWE started. Miles Teller.
Oh.
He's got that geeky, like you go back and you search Vince McMahon as a younger fellow. He is a weird looking dude. And I've always thought Miles Teller was a weird looking dude. I think the dude can act too. So for me, a younger Vince, Miles Teller, I think would do an interesting job, a fun job. For older Vince, I have two possibilities. One, Eric Roberts.
Yes.
Eric Roberts is an underrated actor. He is one of my favorite actors of all time, just because he plays a dirtbag. He plays a villain so well. He was great on the first season of Heroes. He's great in movies. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gary Oldman would be another pick.
Because Gary Oldman can do anything.
Yeah. Gary Oldman could play young Vince. Why not?
Even though him and Eric Roberts are like the same age.
So both of those guys, I think, could do a very good job. I think Eric could get the kind of the dirtbag feel of Vince better than Gary, but because everybody loves Gary.
Yeah.
And everything he does. So that was my pick for Vince.
Cool, yeah. Like I said, I picked John Hamm because he could do the young and old, and also because if you've ever seen him in Mad Men or even in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, you're like, man, I know he's great on it. You could totally be like, man, I could see why somebody would simultaneously hate and love this guy, and so yeah, the exact same way. He's a dirtbag you love, kind of thing. So yeah, like. Eric Roberts is the exact same thing. So, for sure. For sure. Well, Pandemonium, the Vince McMahon biopic. That is our choices if we were going to do it and what we would do. So, yeah, that's, I would have it start in the late 70s with Vince joining in the biz, and then, his dad, passing, and then him taking over the company, and then snatching up all the other places, and then leading to the golden age with Hogan and Savage and Andre, and then the early 90s with Ric Flair and Bret Hart and stuff like that, and then have the Attitude Era. Like, I'd have it end with that, and stuff like that. So, you same kind of thing, or?
I would have it just early days.
Okay.
Mostly because I'm more interested in I'm more interested, not necessarily his childhood, but how he came to love wrestling.
Okay.
How he came to love wrestling and how he came to hate it being called wrestling. He wants it to be called sports entertainment. Like all of that stuff, I'm more interested in. I'm more interested in his early life than I am his other life or his post that life. Mostly because I lived through that. Like I know about the steroids scandal. I know about some other stuff. I lived through the Attitude Era. I didn't necessarily watch it all, but I lived through it. I lived through the Monday Night Wars. I love the Monday Night Wars, but I don't think a movie should be made about that quite yet. I think a movie one movie about that would be great. Just what happened through all that whole thing. But I think there's a richer story to be told from Vince's beginnings than it is later on.
Okay.
That's me.
So yours would be more about the life of Vince McMahon, and mine would be about the businessman Vince McMahon. Because I'm really interested in all the behind the scenes stuff of him taking over wrestling and stuff like that. And
that's what I want too.
Really interested in.
I want his beginnings, really quick, first act of his beginnings, and then going into how he took over, how he basically destroyed the territorial system, and all of that. Like I want that, but I don't want anything, after the 80s really.
Okay. Well, me too. Yeah, there's our ideas and our casting choices. Yeah, I think we both kind of had some names that might be too expensive even for WWE studios.
Yeah. I think they could get Voight.
For sure. He's been in some stinkers. I like John Voight as a fantastic actor, but over the past 10 years, that guy's been in some stinkers. So.
And they can get Eric Roberts. He's been in, direct to DVD or direct.
Yeah. And he was he played Randy Orton's dad in The Condemned 2, even.
Oh, did
so
he?
yeah.
Well, there you go.
And stuff. So yeah, there's a name right there.
There's a line there.
Yeah. Well, all right. Yeah, we clocking this in just 15 minutes under 2 hours. I thought this would be even longer, but
this is a marathon. I'm feeling it.
I know. I'm feeling kind of. We did just eat before this, so the food, all that greasy food, could be hitting us too. But yeah, this one we're kind of limping towards the finish line here. So, well, anything else to say to the wrestling fans at home, or anything you wish to add?
Wrestling is fun. Keep watching wrestling. Keep enjoying it. It is what it is. Vince has created something that is entertaining, and you see, with all this bad stuff we say about Vince, he is a genius when it comes to these things. We may not understand his logic, Great Balls of Fire, but in the end, stuff like Payback just shows how good he is, how knowledgeable he is, how he knows what he's doing. And listening to the Kurt Angle podcast with Chris Jericho, TNA thought at one point that they could rival WWE, and Kurt's as wrestling with TNA, he's just no. And he said he's I understood why Hulk and all these guys thought they could do that, but Kurt's just I know Vince. There's just no way we can go against them, which is both sad and truth. You can't go against someone who has been doing this for a long time, who actually is an entertainment kind of genius. He's an idiot savant in some ways.
But sometimes just an idiot. But
sometimes just an idiot, or at least looks like an idiot until later on down the road. But there are plenty of pay-per-views that were there's no payoff. There's no payoff anywhere. But with that being said, wrestling groups like Impact and ROH, and who knows what NWA is gonna happen, and even New Japan are coming to the States. We have all these other properties that are still wrestling, still fulfilling needs, and because what we get with WWE is a very packaged product. Once you go into WWE, you have to learn their style of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
You have to leave behind a lot of the independent style. That's what they were trying to change that with cruiserweights, but you see where that goes, or where that went. It's getting better, but you watch the indies, you watch people like Ricochet and the Young Bucks and stuff, and you're like, they did that stuff in WWE, nobody would allow it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same way when ECW came out back in the day. Like, you watch ECW and you're like, holy cow, these guys are killing themselves, and there's no way you'd see that in the WWE. They did the hardcore stuff, but even that wasn't as hardcore as ECW stuff. And so this is one of the greatest times in all of wrestling history. People, enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Soak it in.
Soak it in, man. Yeah, man. This is a new golden age. This isn't the golden age was in the 80s. The silver age was the Attitude Era. The ruthless aggression / PG era was the Bronze Age. This is the new golden age, in my opinion. Like, because this isn't like, it's not full on PG anymore. It is, it still is very much pertaining to kids, but they are seeping in some of the ruthless aggression and Attitude Era stuff here and there that makes it more entertaining and makes it feel like throwback stuff, and that's good, taking what worked and what didn't work, and kind of stuff like that. So yeah, man, we're in a new golden age right now, man. We're just at this big crossroads of the PG era in the new era, and there's all these guys coming here from other promotions. We thought Mr. TNA, AJ Styles is in the WWE, and Mr. New Japan, Shinsuke Nakamura is in the WWE, and the King of Ring of Honor, the Samoa Joe, is here. It's crazy, man. It's awesome. There's so much great stuff, and you got the Rock and Austin of the ruthless aggression, and Randy and John Cena. So there's just stuff for everybody. I mean, like, I've heard some people be like, wrestling, it sucks now. I was like, the characters might not be as good as Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock or Macho Man or Ric Flair, but the actual wrestling is the best it has ever been. Fight me.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I don't know if I agree with necessarily the character wise. I think there are characters that we can attach ourselves to.
Indeed.
That are really good. We mentioned Chris Jericho. Kevin Owens will be, I think, eventually the Stone Cold of his era. You watch his indie stuff, and he's, even though they're not necessarily allowed to curse, but he's just as flippant with stuff. And so I think he's going to be the Stone Cold of his age, and I think AJ will be AJ is just amazing in the ring.
He's just a whole other beast.
Yeah,
he's his own thing.
He's like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and several other guys just rolled up into one. He is an amazing wrestler, and so we have that. We'll eventually see what Shinsuke can do on the main roster. We saw a little bit what he could do in NXT. I still don't think they used him as well. But even the NXT roster, like, people coming up out of it, I think this is a really good era for even NXT folk. So a lot of different things happening. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, and Backlash is happening in 2 weeks already.
Son of a gun!
Yeah, we've got...
Watch the pay-per-view, Caleb!
Hey, don't be mad at me.
That's your fault.
So yeah, we got Randy and Jinder.
Is that Backlash enough for you?
Yeah, that was quite a bit of Backlash. Yeah, we got Randy and Jinder for the WWE title, and then we've got Kevin Owens and AJ Styles for the US title. Yeah. So 2 matches I'm interested in seeing for sure at Backlash, especially the latter.
Oh, we also have the Usos and the Usos and the
the Fashion Police.
The Fashion Police are Breezango.
That's true. That's true. They're the Fashion Police.
My guess is that's probably what they're going to change their name to after this.
They need to.
Fashion Files. Brilliant.
I know, it was fantastic. It was awesome. They did such a great job.
Those 2 guys are actually funny in real life. So.
For sure. So, well, I guess we can call that episode good. Longer than as per usual, but had a lot of stuff to talk about. So, well, everybody, thanks for stopping by. We're gonna get out of here because we're gonna go into food comas. Well, that was this week's Sode. Episode 43 or 44, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But somewhere in there. All right. Well, we will see you guys next week when just for the regular weekly recaps. We're going to have more top 10 lists in the future, I'm sure, because those are fun to do. And we will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, because we are Woo Wrestling, Woo Podcasting Sons of Guns. I am Caleb, the Dean Ambrose of everyday life.
I'm Jeremy.
Haha. Pee Wee Herman.
Yep. Haha.
Oh, that was good. That was good. That was really good.
Messed up there.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by. Peace. Still your catchphrase. Now you do it.
Woo!